Hey, it's Russ, and today I am ranking the top 20 business and mindset books that I have ever read as I built my $100 million coaching company. Now, as always, like every video on this channel, I'm pulling back the curtain. I'm showing you what I've learned from over 9 figures in high-ticket coaching sales. So if you are a coach, consultant, expert, author, speaker, therapist, you're somebody that's trying to grow your business and make a living from your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise, pay very close attention, smash that like and subscribe button because you are in the right place. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not saying you're gonna watch this video and make $100 million or even $10 because your odds of doing 9 figures are about 1 in a million. And that's why me and only a handful of other guys have done it. But if you wanna learn from the best, then you are in the right place. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, why are these books so important? Well, first of all, every single book that I'm about to rank with you is something that was an incredible book. So I'm not giving you like the books that sucked. I'm not even going to mention those in this video. As of right now on my Kindle, let's see, I have 888 books on my Kindle right now. So I've read every single book about business, like every single book about mindset. I mean, literally 1,000 books that I've read over the course of building this business. And to be honest, most of them were pretty terrible. A lot of them did that thing where it's like kind of probably should have been a blog post. Like there's one big idea in the book that could have been like a 500-word blog post, and then they managed to like stretch it out into 200 pages. So what I want you to understand is that all 20 of the books that I'm going to share with you today are amazing. These are the best of the best. These are my top 20 out of all of the 1,000 or so books that are on my Kindle right now. So when I rank them, I'm going to rank them according to the following categories. Rank number 1, life-changing. These are books not just that I read, but that I go back to again and again and again, almost like devotionals, just to keep my head in the game. Rank 2 are books that are awesome. So once you've read these books, then you should read these ones. Rank 3 are going to be books that are really, really good. And if you've got the time, you should make time to read them. And then rank 4 are going to be books that are awesome, but they're kind of like a case-by-case basis. If you need it, read it. If you don't, don't. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. The first book that I want to talk to you guys about is Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. Now, if you don't know, David R. Hawkins is the guy that created something called the map of consciousness, where basically he ranked different states of being that you can be in. So let's say anger or grief or fear are going to be toward the bottom of the scale, and higher emotions like love and courage are going to be at the top of the scale. And the more of a positive energy that you can bring to anything that you're doing, the more power you're going to have. So what do I mean by this? Let's say that you got to create a webinar. You could create that webinar from a sense of duty and obligation. You could create that webinar from a sense of fear. Oh God, what if they hate this? What if this sucks? What if this doesn't work out? Or you can create that webinar from a place of love and service. Like, what can I share with my audience today that's really going to change their lives? So what can I say in this webinar that's going to make all the difference for the people who watch it? And what you're going to find is that the more that you can bring the loving energy of those states into the work that you do, the superior the output is going to be, and you're going to have a lot more energy to do the things that you want to do. This is really important because there's a huge difference between creating like a sales funnel from an energy of greed and desire, like how am I going to make money, versus actually creating it from a place of service and creating something that's deeply, deeply, deeply going to serve your audience. So letting go. Where letting go fits in is it's a roadmap and a very specific technique for dealing with negative emotion. You know, so much self-help books and books about law of attraction or manifestation or whatever you're into, they're going to tell you to just pump yourself up, right? You got to pump yourself up. You got to stay in these positive states. Well, nobody can stay in those positive states all the time. And if you're trying to do something worthwhile, you're going to be sent down into those negative states pretty often. One of the things I like to say to my clients is like, look, if you want to be heavyweight champion of the world, you're going to get punched in the face, right? You don't get to sit there and set these massive goals of building $1 million business or $10 million business or $100 million business and then get to act shocked when you run into obstacles and challenges along the way. So when that happens, those obstacles and challenges will send you down into a place of fear, into a place of doubt, into a place of lack and limitation. And you need to know how to process those emotions in a healthy way, not push them down, not suppress them, not just do a bunch of affirmations and try to pump yourself back up. Those negative emotions are like messengers from your subconscious, and you have to let them in and you have to experience them fully. And when you do that, they will pass through you. And the book Letting letting go is going to show you how to do that. So if you ever feel like you're building your business and you're kind of at war with yourself every step of the way, where you're scared, you're afraid, you're angry, you're guilty, whatever these feelings are that you don't want to feel, definitely pick up this book because it's going to be a start to finish roadmap for dealing with those feelings. It's absolutely essential. That's going in the top tier, life-changing, best of the best books. All right, next book. Parallel Universes of Self by Frederick Dodson. Frederick is actually a friend of mine. I went and spent a day with him at his house to do some coaching and mentoring. He's an awesome guy. And Parallel Universes of Self is probably the most, I want to say, scientifically and systematically complete book I've ever read about how to take your desires and turn them into reality. So it's not one of those just super high vibration spiritual books that you're going to go back to again and again and again, and you're going to read it every day. But if you want a really strategic, tactical manual of how to take your dreams and manifest them and turn them into reality, Parallel Universes of Self is an absolutely amazing book. So this is going to go in our awesome tier. It's definitely one that you should pick up. All right, next one. This is a book that changed my life. 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Now, this is a book that gets a bad rap, and it gets a bad rap. I had a buddy, we were kind of debating about this book on Facebook, and he was like, hey, 4-Hour Workweek. Did anybody actually read this book? And are any of you guys actually working just 4 hours? And I'm like, hell no. Like, I'm not just working 4 hours, but I can tell you something. Back in, I want to say 2006, 2007, I was a bartender, and I walked into Barnes & Noble one day and this book was sitting there, and I picked up that book. And this was the book that introduced me into this whole world of online entrepreneurship that I'm in now. And if I hadn't picked up that book and hadn't read that book and hadn't done the things that it told me to do, I'd probably still be pouring drinks. So this is one of the only books that I can legitimately say changed the trajectory of my entire life. So I have to, by definition, put this book in the life-changing tier where it belongs. This book was the genesis of my entire $100 million coaching company. It all started with the 4-Hour Workweek. And Tim, if you are watching this, I just want to say thank you, man, because you legit changed my life. This book was a bestseller. I know a ton of people read it and just kind of tossed it aside. I actually read it and did the things that it said to do, and it changed my life. So some of the information in there obviously is dated. He's got some tools and stuff in there that, aren't really live anymore. He's got some strategies and tactics in there that are probably outdated now. I mean, the book came out, like almost 20 years ago now. The psychological side of it, it'll change the rest of your life. So definitely going in our life-changing tier. Amazing, amazing, amazing book. All right, next book. There's another book I read around that time called Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. So this is a book for you newbies. If you're thinking about starting a business and you don't know where to start, pick up this book because it walks you through some of the basic calculations of what it means to start a business. So in other words, let's say you want to start a business, right? Let's say you want to start a donut store. All right. So you look around in your neighborhood, you go, you know what? There's not a lot of donut stores around here. I like donuts. Who doesn't like donuts? Let me start a donut store. So then you got to go and you got to rent a location. Then you got to get the equipment and you got to get the ingredients. You got to hire a staff. You got to do some marketing. So you're probably around $100,000 in the hole before you even sell your first donut. And if you're selling donuts for 50 cents a piece, you can do the math. It means you got to sell 200,000 donuts just to break even. Now, if you're an experienced business owner, this is obvious, but I can't tell you how many people start businesses without doing some of these basic calculations. So this is relevant to you if you're starting a coaching business, if you're starting a restaurant, or whatever it is that you want to start. Check out the book, The Millionaire Fastlane, because it's going to give you some of those calculations ahead of time. So Millionaire Fastlane is going to go in our really, really good tier. It's a great book to read if you're starting a business. Next book, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. So this is a really good book for figuring out how to navigate your business if it is becoming a golden cage. So you need to hire an assistant. You need to hire some other people to help you out. You're making money in your business. You have no freedom. You're putting out fires all the time. This book is going to explain exactly what your process should be for fixing some of those problems. What do you delegate? How do you delegate it? In what order? How do you navigate all of that? So really, really good book. So it's going to go into our good tier. This is specifically for people that are, trying to create some freedom in their business and they don't know how to do it. They want to hire people. They want to delegate some things, but they just don't know how. All right, next book, Neville Goddard Deluxe edition. This is another one of those books that I go back to again and again and again. If you guys really want to know how to transform your consciousness, if you really want to move from being somebody that is stuck in self-doubt and fear and lack and limitation, and you just don't know how to move into higher and higher states of consciousness where you're surrounding yourself mentally with love and success and joy and gratitude, Neville Goddard is definitely one of the best people to learn from. So I chose this book because it's actually a compilation of, I think, every book he's ever written. So it's incredibly valuable, incredibly an amazing place to start. So this is going in our life-changing tier because that's where it belongs. I read his stuff over and over and over again. Now, similar guy, actually studied with the same teachers as Neville Goddard, is a guy named Joseph Murphy. Now, Joseph Murphy, again, has a ton of books about this stuff. And it's so funny because the book that everybody talks about is one that he wrote called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That's the most famous one. But you know what? In my opinion, it's actually one of the weaker books that he wrote. If you go deep into some of his stuff, like I've got books that are like autographed by him that are like, from God knows what, probably 1940. I've got a huge collection of his stuff because it is just so powerful and so life-changing. So the book that I recommend from him is The Miracle Power of Your Mind. And this book is a massive compilation of just a ton of his writings. All the stuff is life-changing. All of his books are very similar. You can start with anyone you want, but just read it and soak up the goodness. So Joseph Murphy, anything by Joseph Murphy is going in that life-changing tier. This is something you should spend 10, 15 minutes a day. Just start out your day, read a little bit of Joseph Murphy. Before you go to bed at night, read a little bit of Joseph Murphy. It will gradually sink into your bones, into your DNA. It will transform your consciousness and orient you in the direction of massive success by serving the world in a bigger, grander, and more wonderful way, and actually making that impact that you were born to make, which is what this whole thing is about. All right, next one. Let's take a look at our list here. She wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's one of the simplest books out there. It's very accessible, very easy to digest and consume. And this book, The Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn, is an anthology of all of her work. I love her stuff. I don't read it as often as I read Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy. So for that reason, I'm going to put this in our awesome tier instead of in our life-changing tier, but it really is a life-changing book. It's amazing and you should check it out. All right, the next book is a newer book, Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen. Now, this book talks about how your inner monologue can lie to you, and it lies to you all the time. So we all have this constant mental chatter in our heads. We all have these thoughts that come up, and you can think that those thoughts are you. Well, I am those thoughts, right? So I thought this thing, therefore it must be true. What you're going to find over the course of your life is that those thoughts just sort of come from nowhere and then go nowhere. So if you take a second and you observe that stream of consciousness that's constantly going on in your mind, you're going to realize that it isn't you, because you're not any one of those thoughts. The thoughts come, the thoughts go. You're not the thing that's thinking the thoughts. You're the one that is aware of those thoughts. And those ideas are expressed very, very beautifully in this book by Joseph Nguyen. So it's definitely one that I think you should read. It goes into our really good tier because it's just a fantastic book, and it's definitely one that you should check out. All right, next one is a business book, very near and dear to my heart, Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. Now, back when I was bartending, this is the very first and only copywriting book that I ever read when I started my business. There's a million books about copywriting out there. It's one of the most valuable skills that you can cultivate. You need to know how to craft words and craft language that make people spend money with you. And if you know how to do that, then I believe you'll always be able to write your own ticket. You can always start a business, you can always go online, and you can always sell something if you understand the fundamentals of copywriting. And this book teaches it better than anything else. When I was very first starting out, no background in marketing, no background in anything, literally all I knew how to do was pour drinks. I used this book to write a video sales letter that converted a $197 product at about 2 to 3% to cold traffic. That is awesome, especially for your first time out. It's what enabled me to quit bartending. It absolutely changed my life. It's what enabled me to make my first money online. And so this is going to go into our awesome tier. If you only read one book about copywriting, read this book because it's absolutely amazing. All right, next book, The One Sentence Persuasion Course by Blair Warren. It's a very, very short book, but he gives it to you in one sentence, exactly what you need to do to make people follow you. So this is like something that presidents use, politicians use, kings use. On the darker side, cult leaders use. It's the same principles that cause people to get devoted to you, to follow you, and to go where you want them to go and do what you want them to do. And that's a skill that you can use to do tremendous good in the world if you want to start a movement, but it's also a skill that you can use for evil. But either way, it's a skill that you need to have if you want to grow and scale a business. So The one sentence persuasion course by Blair Warren is also going in our awesome tier because that is where it belongs. All right, next book, The Amazon Way by John Rossman. You know, we hear so much about billionaires like Jeff Bezos and like Elon Musk, and we all have these ideas about them. Are they good people? Are they evil people? Are they just weird and different from us? But regardless of how you may feel about someone, in my philosophy, I believe that anytime you see someone who is achieving extraordinary things, that person is worthy of study, regardless of how you might or may not feel about them. Does that make sense? So maybe you can't stand a guy like Elon Musk, or you can't stand a guy like Jeff Bezos. If you want to be successful, you need to be able to set that aside and say, you know what, man, they built some of the biggest companies in the history of the world. How are they doing it? And The Amazon Way is a really, really amazing book that breaks down a lot of the operating principles of Amazon.com. And if you think about Amazon, it's an amazing company. I can go online and I can sit at my computer at 10 o'clock in the morning. I can order something and it's delivered to my door by like 2:30 in the afternoon. If you think about the mind-boggling set of challenges that they had to solve just in order to make that happen, there's no denying that this is an incredibly effective company at making things happen. And that's what you want to learn. And so this book, The Amazon Way by John Rossman, is going to walk you through 14 leadership principles that they use to run Amazon. It is amazing and is going in our good tier. Check it out. All right, next book, a spiritual classic, I Am That by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's the guy's name. This is just one of those books that you read it in small doses. You soak it in and you come back to it again and again. So Maharaj was a guy who had an ashram in India, and he would sit there every day and people would come from all over the world and ask him questions to advance themselves spiritually. And this book is simply taking the recordings of those conversations and translating them so that they're accessible to a Western audience, because the original conversations were not in English. And I just can't say enough about this book. There is just so much beauty in it. Every page just like drips with just raw spiritual power that I think is undeniable. So even if you're someone who is, very, very steeped in a certain religious tradition already, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, whatever it is, it's an amazing book because it shows you that there is tremendous spiritual wisdom that exists outside of the little bubble that you live in. And this book is an incredible book. It's life-changing. It's one that you should read, and you should read again and again and again. So it's going in our life-changing tier. Okay, next book. This is one of the best business books ever written. Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. This is a step-by-step detailed guide of how to take a company from $0 to $100 million. As I did exactly what that book is teaching, taking my company to $100 million in revenue. This was my Bible, okay? Like I read this book all the time. And he walks you through the various phases. Like how do you get to your first million? Then how do you go from $1 million to 10 million? How do you go to 50 million? How do you go to 100 million? Because at each level and layer, there's certain pitfalls that come up along the way. And at Clients on Demand, we've certainly seen this with our clients. So if you're stuck at a certain level in your business, whether that's 10K a month, 30K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, $1 million a month, whatever it is, and you can't break through to the next level, click the link in the description of this video and book a call to talk to us, because we need to guide you through this process. But if you want just an overview of all the different challenges at the different levels of business and what you need to do, this book is the best. So Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. It is going into our life-changing tier. You need to read this book. You need to read it very soon. All right, next book. What's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? And if you think about it, that's such an amazing question. You might be worried about the bills. You might be worried about the mortgage. You might be worried about your business is stuck at a certain level and you can't seem to get past it. You might have this challenge with staffing or that challenge with a problem client, whatever it is. But right now, right here, in this moment, what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it, right? Right now, you're watching this video. You're listening to me. I'm talking to you. There's nothing wrong with right now. And this is a book that has so many pointers in it to that ultimate truth that everything is okay. It's an incredible book. It's a wonderful book. It's by a guy named Sailor Bob Adamson, who studied with the guy I mentioned before, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, studied with him for decades. And this is his take on Maharaj's teachings. And what's great about this book is that Sailor Bob is Australian. So it's definitely taking these ideas that Maharaj talked about and gearing them and orienting them for a Western audience. So it's easier to understand than I Am That, but it just doesn't have that same like, oh my God, just the things in this book are so deep and so profound that I need to read it over and over again, but it's still an incredible book. Definitely worth checking out. We're going to put this in our awesome tier where it belongs. All right, next book, business book, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. So first of all of Mike's books are really good, but I think Profit First is the best. And this book is going to give you the solution. If you're in a situation where your business is making money, but you're not getting any richer. And we see this all the time. Your revenue numbers are okay. You got money coming in the door, but your net worth is not going up and up every month. So Profit First is going to give you a systematic framework for taking the money that comes into your business, setting some aside as profit that's going to you, and then paying the rest of your expenses. And that way you make sure that when you structure your business this way, that you are constantly pulling money out of the business and investing it or doing what you want with it. I've seen so many people that as their revenue grows, their expenses grow right along with it. And so there's nothing left over. For me, I know when we first got to $1 million a month, between payroll and staffing and advertising and just all the stuff we were spending money on, our profit margins at $1 million a month were way thinner than they needed to be. And then I read this book. I started implementing what it said, and then all of a sudden we were massively profitable. So Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. This is going in our really good tier. It's an amazing book. Once you start getting some revenue coming into your business, not only should you read this book, but you should follow exactly what he tells you to do because it's an amazing thing. And we use this book with all of our clients. It's that good. All right. Next book was one that was so awesome for me when I was first getting started. Before I even got started, Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I remember being 26 years old, stuck in my bartending job, like hating my life, and reading this book because this book contains, I think, around 80 principles for what it takes to be successful. And Jack Canfield really doesn't leave anything out. So if you are having trouble achieving the success that you want, it's one of these 80 things that you're either doing or not doing. So it's like a recipe where he took the most successful people in the world and then just reverse engineered what they were doing and organized it into this set of principles. It is basically a manual for not screwing up your life. The younger you are, the more important it is that you read this book. There were so many landmines that I could have stepped on in my 20s that I did not step on because I read this book. So I don't care if you're 20 or 40 or 50 or wherever you are in your journey, this book is absolutely incredible because it's like, again, it's almost like a checklist of everything that you need in order to be successful and some of the stuff to avoid if you want to be successful. So it's like a roadmap to just creating success in any area of your life. It's not specific to what we do, coaching and expert-based businesses or anything like that. It's just if you want to create the life you want, here's how you do it. It's an amazing book, and that's why it's going in our really good category where it belongs. All right, here's another book that I guarantee you no one has told you about. This is a book that blew my mind. It is called Cyrus the Great by Xenophon, The Arts of Leadership and War. So this is a book where this account of the life of Cyrus the Great that was written by Xenophon, who was a historian back in that time. And this guy basically wrote the definitive account of the rise to power of Cyrus the Great, who was the founder of the Persian Empire. And then this guy took that account and turned it into a modern day retelling of it. And there is so much in this book about leadership and influence and politics and getting your way and inspiring loyalty and everything that you are going to need when it comes time to run your company. This guy defined a culture that lasted for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And he's generally regarded as one of the wisest, most enlightened emperors in all of human history. So anything that you have to do regarding leadership or motivating other people or, creating different alliances between different groups of people, how do you get sales and marketing to work together when they're always at each other's throats? All of that stuff is in this book in a very entertaining and very, very cool historical story. So this book is going into our awesome tier. It's an amazing book. Strongly recommend you check it out. Everything you've ever needed to learn about leadership, it's in that book. All right, next one, coming to the home stretch here. Stop Fixing Yourself, Wake Up, All Is Well by Anthony DeMello. This book is about the difference between awareness and attachment. So at any point in your life, you are in one of those states. You are either caught up in that rushing river of angst and thought and emotion where you're chasing and chasing and chasing, or you are connected to the present moment. And this book invites you to make a very simple choice. Are you going to live in attachment, which takes you out of the present moment, or are you going to live in awareness where you're living your life? One of the things that I don't have a lot of regrets, but one of the things I kind minor regret, is when I was in college and I was studying to be an actor, I was clinging so hard to that idea that it was all that I could think about. Every choice in my life, everything that happened, there was just someplace I would rather be, right? It was like my whole life had the volume turned down because all I could think about was making it in Hollywood and making it as an actor. My life has gone in a totally different direction since then, obviously. But at the time, I feel like I really missed out on college. You know, if you ask me questions about like high school, I could tell you everybody's name, their phone number, their birthday, everybody I was hanging out with, all those things. In college, I can't do any of that because I was so focused on getting where I wanted to go that I never paid any attention to where I was. And that's no way to live your life. It just isn't. So if you're watching this channel, it's probably because you are somebody that is interested in success and interested in chasing success. And I guess my invitation to you would be to read this book and make sure that you're actually living your life, because this is your life right now, right here, today is your life. It's not 5 years from now when you've made $100 million, then you can start to live. No. You're living right here, right now. And if you don't show up for right here, right now, because you're so busy thinking about what could be in the future, you're missing on your life. And I don't want that to happen to you. So I want you to be able to go and achieve success while you enjoy yourself every step of the way. Doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges. Doesn't mean there's not going to be obstacles, right? And I'm here to help coach you through some of those. But it's a question of where are you putting your attention? Are you putting your attention on this future that doesn't even exist yet? Or are you putting your attention on the here and now? And this book is going to invite you to do that. It's going to show you how to do that. So highly, highly, highly recommended. This book is going in our awesome tier, Stop Fixing Yourself, Wake Up All Is Well by Anthony DeMello. And then finally, that brings us to the last book on our list, The 16-Word Sales Letter by Evaldo Albuquerque. This is another very, very good book about copywriting. Not quite as good as Ultimate Sales Letter. So this is going to go into our good tier. It's definitely one that you should check out as you broaden your horizons when it comes to copywriting. But Ultimate Sales Letter is just a little bit better. It's a little bit more timeless. But this guy did a fantastic job with this book. I really, really enjoyed it. All right, guys, that is our list. You can see the whole rank right here. My advice to you would be to start at the ones in that life-changing tier, get into those books, start reading them all the time, and then work your way through the rest of the list as you want to. And listen, the reason this is so important is because we've worked with over 6,000 clients at Clients on Demand. We've gotten people to 7 figures, 8 figures, and we've seen some incredible success stories. But what I can tell you is that over the course of time, there is a one-to-one correlation between the people that take care of their mindset and the people who succeed. Now, I know if you're a life coach, you're a therapist, you're like, Russ, bro, my mindset's solid. I'm solid. I don't have to worry about that. I promise you, when you step outside of your comfort zone, you are going to experience fear. You are going to experience doubt. You are going to experience imposter syndrome. You're going to experience all of these things that all successful people experience on that journey. And if you are not taking care of your mindset every step of the way and filling your head with good, powerful, timeless, spiritual ideas, at some point, you are going to start to make bad decisions. You're going to cheat on your wife. You're going to cheat on your business. Stop doing the things that were working and start doing stuff that doesn't work. You're going to start smoking weed every day and just kind of like let everything fall apart. Whatever it is for you, you're going to find a way to sabotage your business. And that's not what I want to happen to you. Your subconscious is there to keep you safe. By definition, starting a business is going to make you feel unsafe. So you have to do the things that you need to do to give your subconscious that feeling of wholeness and certainty and purpose. And if you can do that, then it's like having, the greatest power in the world on your side pushing you forward. If you don't do that, you are going to feel like you are at war of yourself every step of the way. Building a business is not that difficult. It's not that complicated. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not that difficult. What makes it difficult is when you are at war with yourself every step of the way. And I don't want that for you. And that's why these 20 books are here to help you. And that's why me and my team are here to help you too. So if you're stuck at 10K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, whatever it is, you just can't seem to break through, you're experiencing some success, but you feel like you're stuck in these golden handcuffs, you built this golden cage for yourself, and you need to create some freedom for yourself. I don't care whether you want to build income or freedom or impact or all three. Click the link in the description of this video, book that call to talk to us, because we can absolutely help you break through the plateau that you're on right now. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I'm Russ Ruffino. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye.